Hello everyone, my name is Steve and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel here. Decided I'll throw up a video even though I may not have a whole lot to show. As of right now, I guess I have a little bit of time since my car will not start today. So I think it's the battery, it's just making a clicking noise. I'm going to check that out a little bit, just taking the day off to do that. So I figured I'd throw up a video here while I'm waiting for the car to hopefully recover. They say if you let it sit for a while, maybe the lights are left on, you might be able to restart it. So if not, then I'm going to have to get my battery checked out. But anyways, to get back with this, I wanted to kind of show you guys some new things I've learned and things that I've already known about scrolling. I know I've talked about this, extensively over and over, but I wanted to kind of demonstrate it for people who want to see it live, and also I'll show you exactly what I have going on. I'm pretty close to perfecting the vertical scrolling now. All I need to do is align it with the horizontal scrolling, and very soon we'll have the full screen map going, full screen scrolling going, which was my dream, and it's actually pretty complex stuff. But anyways, for those who don't know, the Commodore 64 is made up, or I just say the C64 screen is made up of pixels, and those are just those small little dots you see all over the screen there, and each pixel is 8 by 8, so think of it 8 bits by 8 bits, and on the screen totally here, going from going from going from left to right, see how tired I am, going from left to right, the width is 40 pixels. That's the first part you'll want to know. And actually I should have put this up here. Okay, so we'll just start this one over and erase this. Okay, so going from, let's see, going from top to bottom, I guess, whatever, to bottom. Why is it doing that? Why did it type over the screen here? Okay, let's try this again. So going from top to bottom, which is the length, there are 25 pixels, I believe. And that's just basically going from here to here. You got from 0 all the way over to 39 pixels. And you got from 0 to 25, so it's probably 26 or whatever, but I need to say 0 to 25. And then from 0 to 40. I may be off on that. Let me just calculate it real quickly here, because just to make sure. So if you take 1024, you add 40 to it, you get 1064, which is the next line down. So it is from 0 to 39. Okay. So anyways, it's pixels, it's 40 by 25. Just kind of keep that in mind. So the reason why I'm showing you this, I wanted you to first understand, for those who are newbies, don't understand how the screen works, this is how the screen display works. Now the whole point of this also is how scrolling actually works. And think of it this way, your screen has got all this data stored on it, and this is just being loaded from Character Pad. And what you want to do is when you move the joystick up, we'll just demonstrate this example, when you're moving it up, you want to keep track of those pixels on the screen. And I've showed this in other videos, and you may want to read up on it, but there's you need to do what's called a coarse scroll. It's a coarse scroll. You scroll 0 to 8 pixels. Remember, they're 8 by 8 in size. So think of this whole thing here as a pixel or whatever. This will be 1 pixel, this will be another pixel, and so on. So these are the pixels, or just those 8 by 8. And as you're scrolling, you're moving it up slowly inside of each of these individual pixels. Remember, they go from 8 down, and so from 8 across, from 0 to 7 across, and 0 to 7 down. As you're scrolling it, it's given the illusion that you're moving each individual pixel instead of the actual character. Now the whole trick of this is after you get the scrolling working, and of course syncing it with the screen correctly in the registers, which I won't go into a lot of depth. That kind of explains it here in the code here, where I showed how you, and if you want to see the code, I guess I could probably demonstrate that. I've talked about this before, but I wanted to show you. So you're basically taking, this is the vertical scroll register, you're masking out the bits, what bits those are, 248, and then you're adding in the bytes you're going to scroll. SC byte, this is actually from 0 to 7, and that's just what I was just talking about here, the pixels. As you're scrolling through each individual pixel, and this will be scroll 1 pixel, you're keeping track until you get to 8, since this just goes from 1 to 8. Once you get to 8, then you're going to reset them back to 0 so that they can flip for the next one. And do the same thing with the masking down here, and then store it into the vertical scroll register. So hopefully that makes sense right there. Now the next part, once you get past that, is figuring out the data on the screen. So remember, these are the I didn't probably explain this, but these are actually the locations in your screen memory. So from 1024 to 1063, that would be the first side of this whole screen, this whole line right here. I guess I could put that up here maybe. 1024 to 1063. And then the next line goes from 1064 through 1063 and so on. So as you're scrolling through these registers here, you're keeping track of the data that you're scrolling and where the lines are scrolling at. So remember, this upper left hand corner would be 1024. So that's basically, in basic doing a poke 1024, 1 or whatever value you want to put in there. Let's say the top left of the screen. And then as you're keeping track of this, you're keeping track of this entire line, not just the first pixel, because we want to scroll all of these pixels in a row. So this is what I'm doing down here in code. Right, first I set the registers to 0, and this is just my scroll map to keep track of where I'm scrolling for later. And is this the up one? This is the up one. So it starts down here. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. Since you're scrolling all the way up like this, you work from top to bottom when you're scrolling up. So see the 1024 that I just demonstrated. You're checking what data is stored in 1024 first. We want to know what data is stored there so we know where to move that to. Because remember, it's going to take this, move it here, this, move it here, and this, move it here. So it's shifting all of the data up the screen. That's how a scroll actually works. So, like I said, take the data in 1024, which is the load accumulator here, and we're going to store it in 1064, which is down the screen. Now this is kind of funny. It looks like it's backward, but it's different when you scroll it up and down. You have to take those data and you have to move them. It's kind of hard to explain, but you're basically shifting the screen down. It looks like it's actually shifting down, but it's actually scrolling the screen up. Maybe somebody can do a better explanation than I did, but so take the data in 1024 and move it to 1064, and then same thing here, take the data in 1064, so you're kind of repeating again here. Take the data, so if you're changing where your data, you're taking the very last location that you scrolled from, and now you're going to be transferring the data from that to another location. So take what's in 1064, move it to 1104. Let's see, move it to 1104, and move it to 1104, like that. So that's what you're doing each time. You're shifting the bytes. So whatever data is stored here, whether it's a ladder or whatever is stored there, it's going to move that ladder. Let's just say we're at this line. It's going to take, it's a bad example, but, or this screen. Let's just say that we take the screen bottom. What's on this screen edge here, we're going to move it up to here, but we still want to remember what was in here. So we copy this. That's what this load accumulator is doing right here. So load accumulator 1024. In this case, it'll be the bottom, so let me just go to the bottom and show you. So 10 or 9. I guess we'll work from the top, because if I go from the bottom, it confuse people. So, anyways, because scrolling, let me make sure I got the right one here. Actually, I might have the backward one. Let's see. Let's scroll up. No, that's it. So it's taking what's in 1024, moving it to 1064, and so on till it gets to the bottom of the screen. So this is basically scrolling the entire screen. So, anyways, take the data that's in 1024, like that, and then we're going to store it in 1064, just like that. Now the X is just keeping track of how far the data pixels are going to scroll over. So you want to get all the pixels on the screen. Remember I explained earlier they go from 0 to 40. So if you look down here in the loop, I have it for 40. So it goes from 0 to 40. So technically I could leave that at 39, but it's still scrolling all 40 pixels across the screen. This is branch not equal, means if this y is not yet equal to 40, that means this increment y is still incrementing through the loop. Then we're going to go all the way back up here. It says lpop. Since I couldn't jump past the branch range, I had to set, I know that's bad practice, but I had to set a jump loop, or a table, whatever you call it. And then right here, I just called it loop up, and then it goes to loop u at 1. My first looping right here. So right here is where it's going to just kind of repeat the data. So as it's doing it, it's going to keep going through x each time and incrementing from here to there to there to there. Or if you need to see it, it's going to start here, there, 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 there. And remember, these are the x registers as it's scrolling across the screen. So as it's scrolling across the screen, it's now going to take what's here and copy this. This is the copy one. And it's going to move it to this one. Let's make it red or something like that. So now it takes what's in 1024 and moves it to there. Now 1064 contains what was previously in 1024, and now it can move it down the screen as it keeps going down the screen. That's how the scrolling works. It's just basically shifting all that data down the screen. So I've kind of hopefully explained that enough that you understand it. This value here, this increment x, this is a little bit backward, and I had to write this out myself to make sure I understood it, which I'm finally getting a little bit better at. So the x keeps track of how far you're scrolling over. The y is actually keeping track of how far down the screen or how many lines we've actually already scrolled. If you take out this y, it'll only do the first line and it won't scroll the whole screen. So the important part is to make sure you leave it in there. Now this next part is a little bit more tricky for those who may not be used to zero page addressing, but this is actually going to keep track of the entire screen. So earlier I stored everything into 253 and 254, and I can show you since I know where it is. Right here. So I called it G screen map low byte and high byte. So right here is what it's doing. It's just keeping track of what's in GMAP 4. And if you go down here, this is basically just reading in the data from character pad. So to be a little bit more example and visual here. Right here. So it's just basically reading in my map. That's all that's doing right there. So once we've read in the map, he's been crashing on me all day. So once it's read in the map, then it's going to go and get the data from here, and these are the high and the low bytes, so basically so it can read the entire screen there. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense there. Okay, so once we have that stored in here, you see I wrote it over here, GMAP 4. Now we're going to read in the registers from 1024 and so on, so the whole screen here. And that's up here at the top of the pixel scroll. You see this 0 and this 4. If you remember, 0 plus 4 times 256, I'll put it over here. 0 plus 4 times 256 equals, where's that equals? Oh, I'm thinking of the monitor. But anyways, 0 plus 4 times 256 equals 1024. So it's basically going to increment through these bytes. So it's going to start here in the corner, work its way until it gets all the way to the bottom right-hand corner there. So that's what this is doing. It's keeping track of the screen. And then once we've done that, we're going to read over 39 bytes. Remember, I demonstrated from 0 to 40. I don't know why this thing is timing out on me. So 0 to 40 there, and then it's going to increment the next high byte. So get next high byte, and those high bytes are after you've hit the carry flag and carried over the next digit. It gets the value beyond 255, And then we're going to get the value in 253, which is our map data. What is wrong with this thing? My computer's been acting so wacky, so I might lose this. Let's see. Hopefully not. Excuse me that on a minute. I'm going to reload it there. And once we have that, then we're going to add the high byte to that value so we can get the next high byte value. Because we're scrolling down the screen, we want to be able to read all the data. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the low byte. Get the low byte. And then take the value from there, and you carry the 255 into the high byte, because we want to, if you look over here on my character pad, it goes, the map width is 255 and the height is the map height is 75 pixels. So it's basically saying go over 255, past that, and it's stored in the next high byte so we can get to the correct next location. So it scrolls all the way across the screen there, so it doesn't miss anything pretty much. So this will work later when I'm scrolling the screen and we're not in the same zone. I'm already over here somewhere, like for example, this is as you're moving the controller pad. Now I'm here, so it'll keep track of what's over here, and as I'm scrolling up and down, it'll keep track of what's below there instead. It'll show the new data. You may also notice I've added a whole bunch of new stuff to the map here. So I have something to scroll, of course. But that'll come in later. But that's basically how that works. Now I originally tried to go back here and read the next high byte, but this creates some problems with the scrolling. So let me demonstrate the scrolling here just so you guys can see that. So the vertical scroll, what it's going to do is it's going to capture the bottom of the screen. I haven't got it set up perfectly, but it will look like it's actually scrolling. It's just not going to look like it's scrolling anything above here, because there's really nothing above here. So it's flipping to the bottom is what it's actually doing. So it's like you're already up here, you're at the top, right left hand corner here, so you're at the top here. So there's nowhere else to go except down here, so you're going to see this data up here once I start scrolling up. I think it crashed. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I got to fix some of the timing on my rasters because it's crashing a lot too. So let's see. So there, as I'm scrolling up, you now see the data there. So as I'll scroll right there, so now if you go back here to our character pad, you can see right there. You can see that data right there, and you see a little bit of ladder right there. You know, if I can get it all on the same screen here, let's see. Now as I go up a little bit more, I can go up pixel by pixel there, and you can see the new data. Somewhere right there. As I go up more, you'll see the new data. So the scroll up is working great. Now the scroll up works fine, but when I get to go down, it does something wrong. So this is something I'm still working on. I just barely got this working the other day. So I start scrolling down, the card starts repeating the top again for some reason. Because I think it's flipping down and it's restarting over here somewhere. It probably has something to do with this 253, 254. So somebody can point it out to me, because I may not be seeing it right now. So, but anyways, you can see it's now scrolling up and down. So I'm scrolling down here. Now the funny thing is, once I scroll down here, if I go down here to the bottom, it'll actually let me scroll up and down and still recall the same data down here at the bottom. For some reason this works, but once I go too far up here, it doesn't get enough data or whatever, and it kind of repeats it again. But you can just kind of see the scroll up and down is working there. It looks pretty good, right? So as I go right here, however, you'll see it start over. See it kind of flipped and added in some new data somewhere. So I need to kind of figure out why it's doing that. And of course it's still crashing. But anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that short video there. I'm off to get my battery checked out here for now. So wish me the best on that. Hope you guys enjoyed this short video, and I'll throw it up here when I have time. And yeah, looking forward to more involvement on this game. I wanted to show you also, I actually have the I don't have it demonstrated here. I'll probably do another video, but I actually have the collision detection working very well now. I did explain that. So if I'm bumping into stuff, it actually figures out where the ladders are, it figures out where everything is, but I'm still working out the scrolling since that's my next step here. So didn't want to overload you too much. I mean, maybe I could just quickly show you or something if I could get it working here. So as I'm walking over here, oh, actually I forgot to turn it on. So let me just go down to the place where I turn it on at, down here. This was all the data that does the collision detection, or more like the level memory detection, I like to call it. And then down here is where it's storing the value so that you can see it on the screen just like before. This is annoying me. Never quite figured out those rasters yet. Okay, so as I start scrolling over here, you'll see it at the bottom there. So it's just redrawn the top of the screen here. So it just passed over there, so it drew right what was right in there somewhere, probably at the top or something somewhere here. And just like before. But when I detect something now, it'll let me go up and down. I don't know if I'm going to find a ladder here or not. Let's see. It might need me some more work. Yeah, there he goes. You've seen him drop down. So it basically detected the space here and it dropped him down, but it still crashed. But anyways, you can see that that's kind of working. And I'll have that all working pretty soon really well. So I just wanted to demonstrate this short video just to show the vertical scrolling. So thanks for watching, guys. This is Steve Morrow signing off.